Alcohol and how much is too much can be a little hard to decipher at times.
The volume of drinking happening on or near campus.
Drinking on college campuses is making headlines again.
Alcohol misuse in college is quite prevalent and often rather extreme.
People tend to engage in what they believe college life is about, and that is finding the parties with alcohol that will serve to underage individuals.
When you look at college campuses, the data suggests more than 40% of students engage in periodic heavy drinking on college campuses.
Having been a student and having had two daughters who also went through college, and then having the privilege of being vice president for 21 years, I know that students will find themselves in some challenging, if not scary, situations.
A friend of mine, we went out to a party our freshman year, and we knew her dad was a really tough guy and that he wouldn't be happy if she was out drinking and partying. So when she ended up sick at the end of the night, we didn't know what we were supposed to do. We were in this moral gray area of, do we let our friend be sick? Do we all just try to take care of her? Do we call dad? You know, what happens if we need to call an ambulance? And so I remember she was really far gone. And we all in our 18-year-old psyches thought that the best thing to do was to make her comfortable in her dorm room, and we took shifts. And we sat there and we counted her breaths all night to make sure that she was going to be okay. And throughout the rest of my college career, I just thought about that moment of not knowing what the right choice was to be.
There are so many negative stories out there about student behaviors on campus. We have stories about wild parties, excessive drinking. But at the same time, there are responsible students who are putting in place wonderful programs to combat this behavior. Cayuga's Watches on the Cornell campus is such an example.
When you come to college, I think it's really a life-changing experience where you have an opportunity to create community, and oftentimes creating community comes with social events. You think that everyone's blacking out, but not everyone's blacking out, or you think that everyone's vomiting as well, but you're not vomiting, so you feel like you need to drink more. And that social pressure leads to really risky situations, and it leads to students feeling as though they need a drink in order to feel included, or they need a drink in order to feel a sense of belonging, or need to engage in risky behavior in order to feel as though they're part of something larger than themselves.
With young students, freshmen in particular, they come to college, they've heard these stories of students drinking outrageous amounts, and they think in order to fit in, they too must drink outrageous amounts to intoxication all the time. So we need to readjust the norm. We need to teach students that no, heavy abusive drinking is not the norm.
Fast forward to junior year, I'm staying over the summer before my senior year at Cornell, and sitting on the porch out in College Town with my friend Adam and throwing back a few beers ourselves, and we said, hey, we got to do something about this. Let's figure out a way to make the drinking culture a little safer around here.
Cayuga's Watchers is really making a difference and really helping change the norm.
Cayuga's Watchers is bystander intervention at its best.
Cayuga's Watchers is really changing campus climate.
Cayuga's Watchers is realistic and effective.
Cayuga's Watchers is for students by students.
Cayuga's Watchers is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded in 2012 by a group of undergraduate students with help of the Cornell administration to create an educational program that teaches students the skills and tools needed to be positive, active bystanders on this campus.
We send trained teams of bystanders into any party who will be sober, who will have their eyes and ears open for any type of issue, be it property damage, violence, potential sexual assault, or just someone who is nearing that line of having had too much to drink. Secondarily, and I think just as important, we train over 3,000 students really every year.
One of the absolute impacts of Cayuga's Watchers was the educational program across so many different groups. There is an education and awareness about what to look out for that I think, frankly, will stay with them for a lifetime, because you learn to recognize signs. And so I think, from my point of view, while the hiring of students for the social events was the, if you will, presenting benefit, the side benefit was a much more educated student population.
I think everybody should feel safe when they're out, and it's not hard to just offer someone help, like regardless of if you're a watcher, and just changing that campus culture is really important.
We're kind of equipping them with the tools they need to be the change maker in the situation. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but hopefully these little cultural shifts will add up, and eventually we can have a healthier drinking culture.
I know that we've watched for certain organizations where we're like, we didn't even know they hosted these parties, and we get there and it's a banger and we have 25 interventions, and we really feel like we're making an impact. Beyond that, I think it's really important to also understand that watchers aren't only watchers when they're getting paid.
Like, you can never predict every single situation, and I think that this is just an added level of security on a big looming campus. We aren't trying to be the police, we're not trying to regulate anyone, we really are just trying to be active bystanders and active peers.
The opportunities that they have to step in a way that doesn't sort of take on a role of authority, but really gives someone a different opportunity to make different choices. I believe that that's had a great impact, positive impact on how much underage drinking we've seen, as well as how much overindulgence that we have seen.
You know, seeing some of my friends make really good choices when going out and also making some pretty bad choices when going out kind of showed me how important it is to create a positive culture. I'm a really big believer in the peer-to-peer education that Cayuga's Watchers provides. I think students are most likely to actually listen and make a difference if they're being told by their friends to not do something rather than an administrator.
I think when you're talking about student behavior, whether it's alcohol use and abuse or hazing and how to change behavior in that area, or sexual assault, it's absolutely essential that the students take a leadership role. We as professionals in the student affairs area, or as medical professionals, have a lot of education and training we can bring to the issue, but how you're going to change student culture has to come from the students.
If the drinking culture, if the party culture at colleges and universities are going to be changed, it can't simply be done by administration. It can't simply be done by mandate. It has to incorporate the ideas and the inputs of eager and responsible students.